A beloved pastor's wife turns up dead in the freezer. For years, he's been telling people she died in childbirth. Take a listen.
An individual by the name of Anthony Hopkins was arrested, detained in Jackson, Alabama. We believe that the body to be that of a black female, 36 years of age, of Arletha Hopkins. We're treating this as a homicide at this point. All we know is that we had a body in a freezer.
Incredible. Out to Robert McClendon with the Press Register there in Mobile. What happened?
Well, we just recently got some more facts in the case. They released a court document, the affidavit that led to the search warrant that led to the police finding that that body in the freezer. Apparently, a female relative had been being raped by this pastor since she was 11 years old, according to the document, and Arletha Hopkins, the wife, caught him in the act in the bathroom in 2004, and they had an argument after which he presumably killed her. According to the court document, he, the next morning, asked her to help him hide her body in the freezer. That was in 2004, so apparently the mother's been in there since 2004.
You know, this is an incredible story. And there is a family of several children. Joining me right now is a very special guest. It is Chief Philip M. Garrett with the Mobile, Alabama Police Department. Chief, thank you for being with us. How many children are in this family?
We believe there's 8 children.
And all this time, they've been living in the home with the mom in the freezer?
And it appears that way for 3.5 to maybe 4 years.
Chief, have you ever seen anything like it?
I've seen some things that were close to it, but I think the totality of this situation is more than I've ever seen.
To have the mom in the freezer, how were you alerted? Why would you go just look at somebody's freezer?
Well, one of the family members came forward on Monday afternoon and told us that there were some things going on in the home, and in fact that the mother and the wife were, she was in the freezer.
Hopkins' wife hasn't been seen in more than 3 years, and neighbors thought she left her husband and her 8 kids. But Monday, a tip from one of those children led police to what they believe is her body stored in a deep freezer. How long do we think this body was in that freezer?
Speculation is that it's 3 to 4 years.
Mobile police seized the freezer Monday night, carrying it with the body inside in an ambulance. They won't say whether the body is intact, but they will say this is just where the crime begins.
Rape, sodomy, sex abuse, and incest.
The district attorney's office says they believe Anthony Hopkins raped and sodomized his own children. After years of the abuse, they say one of those children finally came forward and led investigators to their mom's body. A mom police say they never knew was missing.
We were puzzled why a person could just disappear for that length of time and not be reported or missed. And we're simply not sure how that happened.
Shocking new information in the gruesome murder of a woman police say was killed by her husband and stuffed in a freezer.
News 5 obtained court documents claiming Anthony Hopkins asked one of his children to help hide their mother's body.
Sexual abuse involving Anthony Hopkins and one of his 8 children was going on for 8 years, according to this search warrant obtained by News 5. In the warrant, Hopkins' daughter says her mother, Arletha Hopkins, caught her dad sexually abusing her in a bathroom at their house back in November 2004. She says that led to an argument, and the next morning the daughter says Anthony Hopkins asked her to help hide her mother's body in a freezer at their home. District Attorney John Tyson will not comment on whether investigators believe the daughter helped hide that body, but he did say he does not plan to charge her in this case. He says she is a victim of some serious abuse. Now, as a result of the daughter's statements, Mobile police searched the Hopkins home Monday night. They say they did indeed find a female body in the freezer. While the body cannot be positively identified for several days, Police Chief Philip Garrett told the media yesterday police do believe it is Arletha Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is in jail charged with murder, rape, sodomy, and incest. He will be in court for the first time tomorrow morning. That is when a judge will decide whether to set his bond.
Police have more answers from their late July search at this Ryland Street home when they found a body inside a deep freezer. 12 weeks later, they know for sure who it is.
The Department of Forensic Sciences had been able to conclusively identify the woman in the freezer as being Mrs. Hopkins.
Well known in the gospel community, Arletha Hopkins performed with her husband and their children, the sensational Hopkins singers. The night police found Arletha's body, they arrested her husband, a traveling preacher, while giving a sermon in Jackson, Alabama on forgiveness. Church members couldn't believe charges against Anthony Hopkins. The couple's daughter blew the case wide open. She told police 4 years ago her father killed her mother because she walked in on him molesting her. The daughter also said her father dumped the body in Sims, then buried it in a shallow grave behind an old church in Jackson before putting it in the freezer. The DA says they face substantial decomposition issues in this case.
We've got multiple levels of decomposition, and it requires very careful science, and these days we're able to do DNA work, and we got a good enough sample to identify the body, compared that with parents, and it's a match, so we have scientific proof.
Proof that'll be added to evidence found in a trailer behind Hopkins' house, where he's accused of sexually abusing 2 of the couple's children.
Year-old stated that when he first maintained sexual contact with her, first had sexual contact with her, he explained that it was normal, and he described to her and told her in detail the story of Lot from the Bible.
وصعد لوط من صوغر وسكن في الجبل وابنتاه معه لأنه خاف أن يسكن في صوغر فسكن في المغارة هو وابنتاه. وقالت البكر للصغيرة: أبونا قد شاخ وليس في الأرض رجل ليدخل علينا كعادة كل الأرض. هلما نسقي أبانا خمرا ونضطجع معه فنحيي من أبينا نسلا. فسقط أباهما خمرا في تلك الليلة، ودخلت البكر واضطجعت مع أبيها، ولم يعلم باضطجاعها ولا بقيامها. وحدث في الغد أن البكر قالت للصغيرة: إني قد اضطجعت البارحة مع أبي، نسقيه خمرا الليلة أيضا، فادخل اضطجعي معه فنحيي من أبينا نسلا. فسقط أباهما خمرا في تلك الليلة أيضا، وقامت الصغيرة واضطجعت معه، ولم يعلم باضطجاعها ولا بقيامها، فحبلت ابنتا لوط من أبيهما.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولوطا آتيناه حكما وعلما ونجيناه من القرية التي كانت تعمل الخبائث إنهم كانوا قوم سوء فاسقين وأدخلناه في رحمتنا إنه من الصالحين